Hi, this is Miss Vitale. This podcast is on movement and is intended for my AP Biology students. Movement is a distinctive feature of animals. Locomotion is active travel from place to place. Animals use energy to overcome friction, which is more of a problem in water, and gravity, which is more of a problem in air or on land. The skeletal system is for support, movement, and protection. One type of skeletal system is the hydrostatic skeleton. It is when fluid under pressure is in a closed body cavity, like the coelom in the earthworm. It is not made of hard materials. It cushions the body parts and gives the body shape and support, still being soft and flexible. Another type of skeletal system is an exoskeleton. This is a rigid external skeleton, and it's found in things like arthropods and mollusks. Muscles attached to the inside for movement. The exoskeleton is secreted by living cells, but it is non-living and it doesn't grow with the animal in arthropods. They molt it, which is shedding, and on average, insects will shed 4 to 8 times before reaching adulthood. In arthropods, a major component of the exoskeleton is chitin. Mollusks, however, have an exoskeleton or a shell made of calcium carbonate, and unlike arthropods, it does grow with the animal. An endoskeleton is hard or leathery. It's supported within the soft tissues of the animal. Sponges have spicules, which are made of protein fibers. Echinoderms have hard plates beneath their skin, like sand dollars. But vertebrates have an endoskeleton made of bone and or cartilage. Sharks are the only cartilage skeletons reinforced with calcium. The human skeleton supports the upright body. There's 206 bones in the adult human skeleton. The axial skeleton is the skull, backbone, and rib cage. The appendicular skeleton is the bones of the appendages and the anchors, like the shoulder and pelvis. Joints are where two bones come together. They are for movement, and they're held together by ligaments, which are made of fibrous connective tissue. There are different kinds of joints. The ball and socket is like the shoulder and the hip. It's for rotation and movement in several planes. The hinge is like the knee, and it's for movement in a single plane. Pivot is like the elbow, and it's for rotation. Bones are complex living organisms. The outside is a sheet of fibrous connective tissue. It helps to form new bone when fractured. There's a thin sheet of cartilage that covers the joints, protecting bones as they move against each other. The bone contains living cells that secrete a matrix. The matrix is flexible collagen fibers embedded in a hard mineral made of calcium and phosphate. This helps to resist compression. The shaft of the bone is made of compact bone, which is a dense structure. It surrounds a cavity with yellow bone marrow. Yellow bone marrow is mostly stored fat brought in by the blood. The ends of the bone are made of spongy bone, which is honeycomb. It has small cavities in it that contain red bone marrow. Red bone marrow produces blood cells. Blood vessels come through channels in the bone. Nerves parallel the blood vessels. Bones are rigid but flexible. They will bend to absorb shock, but only to an extent. Bones act as levers. They only move when pulled on by a muscle. Tendons attach the muscle to the bone. Muscles do one thing: they contract. Skeletal muscles are attached to the skeleton. They produce movement. They're made of smaller and smaller parallel strands. A muscle fiber is a single cell with many nuclei. Each muscle fiber is a bundle of myofibrils. Each myofibril is made of repeating units called sarcomeres. Sarcomeres alternate dark and light bands, which cause striations. They are between two dark lines called the Z-lines. Sarcomeres are the contractile unit in a myofibril. They are made of thin filaments that contain actin and thick filaments that contain myosin. A sarcomere contracts when thin filaments slide across thick filaments. Sarcomeres need to be stimulated to contract by motor neurons. A motor neuron can stimulate more than one muscle fiber because the neuron has many branches. A motor unit is a neuron and all the muscle fibers it controls. Neuromuscular junctions are synapses between the axon and the muscle fibers. Acetylcholine is released by the axon, causing contraction of the muscle fibers. Depending on how many motor units your brain commands to contract, will control the strength of the muscle. Aerobic exercise increases efficiency and fatigue resistance of the muscles. It is important for endurance exercise. Over time, aerobic exercise increases the size and number of muscle mitochondria, improving blood flow to the muscle and strengthening the heart and circulatory systems. It also strengthens the bone and gas exchange in the lungs. Anaerobic exercise builds larger muscles. It pushes muscles to a point where they are contracting so forcefully they don't get enough oxygen and switch to anaerobic respiration. This is where lactic acid is produced. Top-level athletes raise the anaerobic threshold. The size of the muscle fibers increase, generating more force and storing more glycogen.